Deputy James Browne, linked with 15, Deputy Aengus Ó Snodaigh. Deputy Browne to introduce the question.
Thank you. Last Count Corla, can I ask the Minister for Defence if a psychiatrist has been appointed to the Defence Forces and if he will make a statement on the matter?
Minister.
I propose to take questions 7 and 15 together. A psychiatrist has not yet been appointed to the Defence Forces. A review of the Defence Forces Psychiatric Service recommended the employment of a full-time military psychiatrist. The previous incumbent providing these services at the Defence Forces on contract retired in May 2018, while arrangements were being made to implement this recommendation. To continue to provide an interim in-house service until such time as the military psychiatrist position can be filled, efforts were made to engage a locum psychiatrist. However, this proved to be unsuccessful. Subsequently, it was agreed to launch a procurement process to contract a third-party private service provider for psychiatrist services as a bridging arrangement pending the appointment of the locum or full-time psychiatrist. A direct entrant competition for the position of military psychiatrist was launched on the 26th of July 2018 and closed on the 30th of September 2018. No applications were received for this competition. Further options have been under consideration as to how to proceed. In this regard, I have recently given approval from my department to conduct a competition for a contracted civilian psychiatrist. It should be, however, noted that there is a nationwide shortage of trained psychiatrists. This difficulty with recruitment for such a position is not unique to the Defence Forces. Currently, patients presenting to Defence Forces primary carers, medical officers are contracted civilian GPs with a requirement for urgent psychiatrist assessment are referred to the HSE A&E departments. They are assigned by the duty on-call psychiatrist staff who triage referrals, and these patients will either be admitted for inpatient care or referred onward to HSE outpatient psychiatric services where appropriate. It must be stressed that there is no delay in referring patients requiring immediate psychiatrist care or assessment. When presenting to HSE and A&E departments, those requiring hospitalisation are immediately admitted. For non-urgent outpatient cases, for waiting time is approximately 3 months. In order to provide Defence Forces primary carers with the broadest range of options possible in dealing with the spectrum of cases that present to them, they have been authorised to refer cases to local external private psychiatrists for outpatient treatment where deemed appropriate. The review of mental health service in the Defence Forces has also contained a number of recommendations regarding clinical and psychology services. The recruitment of a civilian psychologists, in addition to existing DF psychologists, has been fully implemented, and the arrangement is due to be reviewed after a period of 12 to 18 months has elapsed. In addition, systems have been put in place to collect statistics in respect of the demand for psychological services are also recommended in the review. With regard to mental health supports generally, I can assure the Deputy that the health and welfare of the men and women of Dáil Éireann is a high priority for me in the Department and the Defence Forces. Mental health services are part of a range of medical and non-medical services provided to ensure that Defence Forces personnel are medically fit to undertake the duties assigned to them. In addition to clinical supports I have already outlined, the non-medical mental health services are provided by the PSS Personal Support Services. The PSS makes confidential services including critical incident, stress management and psychological support available to all Defence Forces personnel through its network of barrack personnel support services and occupational social work and formation units at barrack level. An additional support, my department has arranged the provision of a confidential counselling, referral and support service on a wide range of personnel, work-related issues for serving members of the Defence Forces, civilian employees and civil defence members. A free phone confidential helpline available 24/7, based 365 days a year, is staffed and fully trained and experienced counsellors, and I am satisfied that the available medical services offer comprehensive support to Defence Force members, and I can assure the Deputy that they are being kept under constant review.
First question from Deputy Chambers, or Deputy Browne.
Thank you, Minister. Obviously, there will be very real disappointment within the Defence Forces that no psychiatrist has been yet appointed. Perhaps I may have missed it. You can clarify whether anybody has in fact applied for the post of psychiatrist in the Defence Forces. I understand the previous position was that of a Lieutenant Colonel, which has a pay grade of about 60 to 70,000 euros. Now, that would probably be about half what a consultant psychiatrist would expect in the HSC. Perhaps you could address if that is part of the issue in terms of attracting these psychiatrists. Obviously, the Defence Forces are under huge mental strain in the normal course of their duties. They're in very strenuous situations, often very dangerous environments. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is very common among soldiers. It's something that is very treatable but needs early intervention. The importance of the availability of a psychiatrist on hand to soldiers at the earliest point is obviously critical. We know from the workplace climate in the Defence Forces the kind of stresses and strain the soldiers are under, and the Defence Forces, in terms of the current situation where the numbers are at one of the lowest ever it's been, is obviously adding additional strain to the Defence Forces.
First response, Minister.
Direct entry competition for the position of military psychiatrist was launched on 26 July 2018 and closed on the 30 December 2018. No applications were received for this competition. Further options have been under consideration as to how to proceed. In this regard, I have recently given the approval for my department to conduct a competition for a contracted civilian psychiatrist, and it should be, however, be noted there is a nationwide shortage, as you have stated. My proposal that the proposal I approved before Christmas has gone to Department of Public Expenditure and Reform, deeper for their final sign-off. And as you've stated, that the salary that was on offer at this stage is only half of what may be on offer within the private sector, within the HSE or whatever, and that is maybe that is probably the main reason why we didn't have any applications apply for the position on that occasion. But I've outlined, Deputy, that we have absolutely all the backup services that are required for members of the Defence Forces there. And let me also state that the PSS, the personal support services that we have in place for members of the Defence Forces, both serving members in Ireland here and serving members overseas, is absolutely excellent, and I compliment them for the work that they do.
Deputy Ó Snodaigh.
Ministers, the question I've asked previously is this question. I'm not surprised that there was no response to the offer of a position, but that's as we stand. The key thing is to ensure, and there is an urgency to this, because there are men and women who are deployed abroad who might come back with post-traumatic stress. There is also all of the issues that we've raised in terms of the working conditions, the pay conditions, and all of the stress. Have you asked, for instance, the College of Psychiatry here, the Association of Psychiatrists here, why? Because you said there that maybe that's the reason, because of the low pay, but it might not be the only reason. So we need urgently to find out from the likes of the professionals what is the reason, so that when the next round of an offer or an application process is set up, that we have people applying, and then we have also a service set up which can serve the Defence Forces well in the future.
Minister.
I do know, Deputy, that there's a nationwide shortage of these suitable personnel psychiatrists, not just within the Defence Forces, but right across the board in the HSE. I know we have our own issue in the South East, and there's many other parts of the country as well where there's a huge shortage of these psychiatrists. I'm not sure. I'm only saying maybe one of the reasons is because of pay. I'm not sure. That is one of the reasons why I approved the proposal to go to deeper, and I hope that we'll get approval of that we can go back out and advertise for the post again. But let me say that you raised there about post-traumatic stress for people serving overseas when they come home. The PSS personnel that we have in our barracks right across the country are absolutely excellent. The work they do in a very professional, discreet manner, and they do refer people on then for further health assistance or care if required. But I do know when I'm leaving the chamber here that there is absolutely assistance there available for anybody, let it be a serving member here or anybody overseas that are suffering from any sort of stress, that there is assistance there, and I would encourage members of the Defence Force to go and seek that assistance if they want.
Sure, yeah, we'll come back to you.
And it might be worth a piece of work worthwhile.
Minister, I'm taking the three supplementaries. Supplementary, Deputy Browne.
Thank you, Minister. Obviously, our members give very loyal and determined service for this country, and they deserve the best supports that they can be given, and that includes the availability of a psychiatrist. We hear a lot of reports from the Defence Forces about the poor pay and conditions they're currently working in. Has the Minister looked into the situation? Is that not only is the pay situation in terms of being a difficulty in attracting a psychiatrist, but in a lot of general mental health services, there is a difficulty in terms of conditions and supports and the facilities for psychiatrists to carry out their work. Are the proper facilities in place to attract a psychiatrist into the services and the necessary supports around that? Also, has the Minister contacted the HSE? We know where there's difficult situations in terms of attracting a psychiatrist. The HSE will put in emergency situations where a psychiatrist working in another part of the HSE will provide cover until a psychiatrist has been found. That, for example, is happening in the child psychiatric services in Wexford at the moment. Has the Minister for Defence contacted HSE if they can provide cover until such time as a psychiatrist can be attracted to the position within the Defence Forces?
Deputy, have you supplementary, Deputy Ó Snodaigh?
Well, literally, it's just to repeat what I'd asked earlier, is had he had contacted the College of Psychiatrists.
Deputy Chambers, a short supplementary.
Yeah, no, Minister, I think obviously there's a new strategic HR unit within your department, and it wouldn't take a rocket scientist to know that if you advertise for a position that's half the salary of what the HSE is, that you won't have an applicant, because we know from the HSE that many of their vacant positions aren't getting applications either. So I think I'd like to know, what have you asked deeper for in terms of salary scale? Have you asked for equivalence in terms of the HSE salary scale for the position within the military? And what are you doing to bridge that gap? Because if you re-advertise at even a median point between the HSE salary scale and what you advertised before, you'll have no further applicants. So I think we need to. It's not a proper advertising of a position if you know Minister, you're not going to get any applicants.
I can't deprive other members. Minister, a short response.
I've approved the proposal that a civilian psychiatrist on contract should be recruited to provide services to members of the Defence Forces, and there are a number of steps that are underway with a view to commencing the recruitment campaign. And I'm satisfied myself that the proposal I have approved to go to deeper, and I'm hopeful that we will get the position filled. I'm not going to go now into exactly what that proposal is. It's inappropriate for me to do that. But at the same time, we are looking at also formalising arrangement with external service providers. Arrangements for this procurement process is also underway, and in the interim, measures are in place to ensure that services are available to members of the Defence Forces through the HSE. And yes, Deputy, we have been in contact with the HSE to make sure that there are services available there. And like you know, someone said that that they deserve the best. Absolutely, they deserve the best, and that is why I believe that we have the best PSS services available, and the staff that are there, and they need to be applauded for the work that they do above and beyond the call of duty.
Thank you.
And I know that they do that work in a very professional and discreet manner.
Deputy Kenny, on behalf of